Ever catch yourself staring at the ceiling, your head buzzing with big dreams? A career that lights you up, a life you'd brag about, only to roll over, grab your phone and mutter, "I'll start tomorrow," knowing tomorrow never shows? You're not just lazy, you're trapped. Ambition roaring inside like a caged lion, but laziness chaining you to the sofa, scrolling through hours you'll never get back. Your brain's dodging the hard stuff, craving comfort over progress, and those epic plans, they're fading into what-ifs while you binge another show. If that stings, good. This isn't a scolding, it's your wake-up call. Here's the truth, you're not doomed to stall. Laziness is just a habit, and habits bend when you push. Those towering goals feel too big too far, so you freeze. But what if you didn't have to climb the whole mountain today? What if one tiny step could crack that cage wide open? This video's your lifeline, packed with 15 simple, punchy moves to flip your not yet into right now. No fluff, no fairy tales, just real, workable ways to turn that fire in your chest into motion, leaving you stunned at how easy it feels once you start. The catch? You've got to move. No one's dragging you there. Stick with me. 15 game changers are coming, from slicing your dreams into bite-sized bits to kicking tomorrow to the curb. If you're tired of dreaming big but living small, hit like to spark this shift. Share it with that friend who's all talk and no walk. Sub to Victory Stoic to keep these nudges rolling, and drop "I'm done waiting" in the comments. Then tell us, what's one dream you're finally kicking off? Ambition's your fuel. Laziness is just the dust on it. Let's shake it off right here, right now. Number 1, fuel the fire with the result. See the goal, not the couch. Everyone dreams of success, but not everyone moves toward it. You have a vision of who you want it to become, the life you want to live, but instead of stepping toward it, you stay on the couch, scrolling, convincing yourself, "I'll start tomorrow." The problem isn't your ambition, it's your fuel. You're trying to light a fire with effort when you should be using the result as your spark. Think about a rocket. It doesn't launch because someone pushes it. It launches because of the fire underneath. That fire isn't fueled by struggle or discipline alone. It's fueled by where it's going. Now, imagine 2 people, Daniel and Mark. Daniel wants to get fit but only thinks about how tiring workouts are. He sees early mornings, sore muscles, and long gym sessions. The fire inside him never lights up. Mark, on the other hand, pictures himself strong, confident, walking with energy, feeling proud of his progress. He sees the finish line before he starts running. That vision becomes his fuel. He doesn't drag himself to the gym, he's pulled toward it. The science of using results as motivation studies from Harvard Business Review show that people who focus on the reward of their actions rather than the effort are significantly more likely to follow through. Why? Because the brain is wired to chase pleasure. If you keep thinking about the hard work, you'll hesitate. If you think about the win, the feeling of success, the fire inside you will ignite. The Stoic perspective: desire the outcome more than you fear the effort. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." Your fire is already inside you, you just need the right fuel. Instead of thinking, "I need to push myself," start thinking, "I need to run toward who I'm becoming." Next time you feel stuck, don't force yourself to move. Visualize the reward. Feel it. Let it pull you. Because when the result is your fuel, your fire won't go out. You won't need motivation, you'll be unstoppable. Number 2, accept you don't need to be perfect, just start. Imagine 2 dreamers eyeing the same prize, a life that hums with purpose. Jake's got ambition blazing, picturing a podcast empire, but he freezes. "I'm no pro yet," he groans, waiting for flawless gear, a velvet voice, the perfect script. Days turn to weeks, his mic gathers dust, and laziness wins because perfect's his gatekeeper. Then there's Mia. She's got the same fire, but her setup's a cheap phone mic. Her first take shaky, her words a stumble. She hits record anyway, uploads it raw, not a superstar, just a starter. Months later, Mia's got a small following, tweaking as she goes, while Jake's still prepping, stuck in neutral. Ambition doesn't need a cape, it needs a clumsy first step. This hits home if you're ambitious but lazy. Perfection's a trap, a shiny excuse your brain spins to keep you cozy on the couch. You don't need to be superhuman to chase big. Just need to move, even if it's messy, even if you trip. Science backs this. Psych studies on procrastination show waiting for ready spikes delay, but starting sloppy cuts the cord. The brain hates flaws till it sees them work, then it rolls with it. You're not dodging failure, you're dodging the start, and that's what keeps ambition caged. Take Sam, a coder with startup dreams. He stalls, sketching the perfect app, scared his first lines will crash. "It's gotta be slick," he mutters, months ticking by, his laptop a graveyard of almosts. Then there's Tara. Her code's a mess, her app barely limps, but she launches it anyway. It's rough, it glitches, yet users trickle in, feedback sharpens it, and she's off the ground while Sam's still polishing. Sam's ambition waits for a crown. Tara's wears sneakers, and guess who's moving? Here's the Stoic twist without the label. You're not built to be flawless, you're built to begin. Chrysippus nailed it. The wise man needs nothing he cannot carry. Drop the weight of perfect, and your load's light enough to lift. So ditch the cape. Start clumsy, start small, start now. In a world of Jakes dreaming big but sitting tight, the Mias who stumble forward own the race. Number 3. Break your dream into tiny wins, one step, not the summit. Picture your ambition as a towering peak, a 6-figure gig, a chiseled body, a skill that turns heads, and there you are, staring up, heart racing with want. But then the shadow hits. It's too steep, too vast, a climb so daunting your legs lock, your mind spins, where do I even start? And bam, you're back on the couch, dream deferred. Here's the trap. You're eyeing the whole mountain, thinking you've got to conquer it in one heroic lunge, when all it takes is one small step to kick laziness to the curb. Think about writing a book. If you fixate on 200 pages, that blank screen's a wall, and you're toast before you type. But shift your gaze, just one sentence today, maybe 2 tomorrow, and suddenly, the keys click, the words flow, and you're rolling. That's the secret. Big wins aren't born. They're built, brick by brick, step by step. Cathedrals didn't rise in a day, Olympians didn't sprint from scratch, empires didn't leap from blueprints. They stacked small moves, steady and sure, until the impossible bowed. Your dream's the same, one tiny win at a time. Science lights this up. The progress principle, straight from Harvard Business School, says small daily wins spark more drive than grand slams. Nail a 1% nudge, a sentence, a push-up, a quick practice, and your brain fires dopamine, that sweet hit of keep going. Momentum's not a gift, it's a grind you kickstart, and lazy can't cling when you're already moving. Take Mia. She wants to run marathons but naps instead. Too far, she sighs until she swaps 5 miles for lace up and walk a block. 1 block turns to 2, then a jog. She's not at the finish line, but she's off the couch. Compare that to Leo, still planning his empire, paralyzed by the peak. Mia's moving, Leo's moping. The Stoics got this cold. Musonius Rufus said, "To live well is to act well, even in little things." You don't need to scale the dream today, just stack the next brick. Write 1 line, not a book. Do 5 squats, not a workout montage. Practice a riff, not a masterpiece. Each step shrinks the mountain, and lazy's got no grip when you're already climbing. So ditch the summit stare. Plant 1 foot forward today, now. In a world of Leos dreaming big but sitting still, the Mia stepping light run the show. Number 4, find joy in small tasks. Laziness fades when you enjoy the process. Most people think laziness comes from a lack of discipline, but often it's really just a lack of interest. If something feels like a chore, your brain naturally resists it. The trick? Find a way to enjoy it, and laziness will lose its grip on you. You don't need to force yourself to grind through everything. You need to make the process enjoyable, so you actually want to do it. The psychology of fun and productivity. Ever noticed how you can spend hours playing a video game, binge watching a show, or scrolling through social media, but the moment you need to do something productive, your energy vanishes? This isn't laziness, it's how your brain is wired. Psychologists call this intrinsic motivation. The idea that when something is enjoyable, you don't need external motivation to do it. A study from Stanford University found that people who linked their tasks to personal enjoyment were significantly more likely to stay consistent than those who saw them as obligations. Your brain resists things that feel like work but thrives on things that feel like play. Make boring tasks fun. Like a game. Let's say you hate cleaning but you love music. Instead of seeing it as a chore, blast your favorite songs and turn it into a dance session with a broom microphone. Suddenly, it's fun. You dread exercising? Challenge yourself to just 5 minutes of movement while watching your favorite show. Before you know it, you'll keep going because you're actually enjoying it. Small shifts in mindset can turn dreadful tasks into something you look forward to. Take Tom, for example. He wanted to read more books but couldn't sit still for more than 2 pages without getting bored. Instead of forcing himself through painful reading sessions, he turned it into a game. He challenged himself to read just 1 paragraph and rewarded himself with a sip of coffee every time he finished. Before he knew it, he was lost in the story, and 20 pages had flown by. What started as a trick to get moving became something he genuinely enjoyed. The Stoic perspective: master the art of finding joy. Epictetus said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." The task itself isn't the problem, it's how you see it. If you tell yourself something is miserable, your brain will fight against it. But if you find a way to enjoy it, you'll actually want to do it. How to turn tasks into something enjoyable. 1. Pair it with something you love. Listen to music while working, have a reward system, or do it in a way that makes you laugh. 2. Make it a competition. Time yourself, set small goals, or challenge a friend. 3. Focus on the feeling afterward. Instead of dreading the workout, imagine how good you'll feel afterward. Laziness isn't always about effort, it's about enjoyment. Find the fun in small tasks, and you'll stop needing motivation. You won't have to force yourself to move forward, you'll want to. Number 5. Use the 2-minute rule. Just start, and momentum will take over. Laziness isn't about being incapable, it's about resistance. The hardest part of anything is getting started. Once you begin, momentum takes over, and suddenly what felt impossible just minutes ago becomes effortless. The key to beating laziness isn't forcing yourself through a full workout, writing 10 pages, or cleaning your entire house in one go. It's tricking your brain into starting with just 2 minutes. The science behind the 2-minute rule. Your brain is wired to resist tasks that feel overwhelming. That's why thinking about reading an entire book or running 5 miles makes you want to take a nap instead. But starting something small eliminates that resistance. Behavioral psychologist James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls this the 2-minute rule, a principle based on the fact that habits are easier to build when they start ridiculously small. Instead of saying, "I need to write for an hour," tell yourself, "I'll just write 1 sentence." Instead of committing to a 45-minute workout, say, "I'll do jumping jacks for 2 minutes." Why does this work? Because once you start, your brain naturally wants to continue. A study from the Zeigarnik effect found that our brains hate leaving things unfinished. Once you begin a task, you feel a subconscious need to complete it. The 2-minute trick in action. Imagine Jake, a guy who desperately wants to get in shape but can't seem to drag himself to the gym. Instead of promising himself a full workout, he tells himself, "I'll just put on my workout clothes and do 2 minutes of stretching." The moment he starts moving, something happens. His body wakes up, his energy kicks in, and suddenly he's already at the gym doing a full session. The hardest part was just getting started. Now picture Lisa, who's been meaning to read more but keeps putting it off. Instead of committing to 30 pages, she tells herself, "I'll read just 1 paragraph." 2 minutes later, she's hooked on the story, and before she knows it, she's read 20 pages. The trick wasn't discipline, it was momentum. The Stoic perspective: small beginnings lead to greatness. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave in small things will be brave in greater ones." The first step is always the hardest, but it's also the only one that matters. You don't need to see the whole path, just the first 2 minutes. How to apply the 2-minute rule. Today 1. Want to start working out? Do 2 minutes of stretching. 2. Want to write a book? Just write 1 sentence. 3. Need to clean your room? Set a timer for 2 minutes and start. Laziness thrives in hesitation, but once you start, you break its grip. Don't think about the whole journey, just take the first 2 minutes. Your momentum will do the rest. Number 6. Set up your sidekick. Stack the deck against lazy. Picture this. Your ambition's a sleek car, engine revving with dreams, a thriving gig, a fit frame, a skill that shines, but it's stuck in park, tires flat, because lazy's got the keys. You're waiting for willpower to kick in, that heroic burst to shove you out the door. "I'll feel it tomorrow," you say, and tomorrow's a snooze fest again. Now imagine a sidekick. Your running shoes parked by the bed, glaring at you each dawn. No grit needed. Just slip them on and boom. You're out, jogging before lazy blinks. That's the trick. Prep your push so easy, willpower's a bystander. This is gold for the ambitious but lazy. You don't need a steel will, you need a setup that nudges you past the slump. Your brain's a comfort junkie. It'll pick the couch over the grind every time unless you rig the game. Science nods along. Habit research, like from Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit, shows cues trigger action. A visible prompt flips the switch when motivation's napping. Set the stage, and lazy's out of moves because starting's half the win. Take Leo, a wannabe writer. His novel's a ghost, haunting his head while he scrolls memes. I'll write when I'm ready, he shrugs, but ready never rings. Then he plants a sidekick, a notebook on his pillow, pen clipped staring him down. No epic resolve, just jot a line to dodge the guilt, and soon lines stack into pages. Contrast that with Mia, fitness on her mind but blankets her throne until she sets her gym bag by the door, packed, unavoidable. One grab, she's out. Lazy's toast when the nudge is loud. Leo's scribbling, Mia's sweating, not from willpower but from prep. Here's the Stoic vibe without the tag. You don't wait for fate, you shape it. Musonius Rufus put it sharp. To live well is to act well, even in little things. Rig your day with tiny triggers, and ambition rolls without a fight. So plant your sidekick. Shoes by the bed, pen on the desk, water by your side, and watch lazy shrink. In a world of tomorrow dreamers, those who stack the deck don't stall, they start. Number 7. Don't wait for inspiration. Action creates motivation. Most people believe they need to feel motivated before they can start working toward their goals. They wait for a spark, a wave of inspiration, the perfect moment when everything feels just right. But successful people don't operate this way. They know that motivation is not the cause of action, it is the result of action. The myth of feeling ready. Take a look at the most successful individuals in history. Do you think Jocko Willink wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every day because he feels like it? No. He does it because he has trained himself to take action, regardless of how he feels. Do you think Kobe Bryant woke up at 4 a.m. to practice because he was feeling extra motivated? No, he had a routine, a discipline, a relentless commitment to improvement. Do you think Marcus Aurelius wrote down his Stoic reflections every morning because he was always inspired? No, he did it because he understood that consistency, not emotion, is what builds greatness. The secret? They didn't wait for inspiration. They acted first, and motivation followed. The science, how action creates motivation. Psychologists call this the do-something principle, coined by author Mark Manson. Studies show that waiting for motivation leads to inaction, but taking even the smallest step creates momentum that makes continuing easier. The brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter that drives motivation, not when you think about doing something, but when you actually start doing it. A study at Harvard Business School found that people who took action first, even without motivation, were more likely to sustain long-term habits than those who waited for inspiration. Why? Because the brain rewards progress, not intention. The Stoic perspective, just do the work. Epictetus said, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Stoicism teaches that discipline is greater than motivation. You don't need to feel like working hard, you just need to work hard. How to stop waiting and start acting. 1. Commit to just 5 minutes. If you don't feel like writing, write for 5 minutes. If you don't want to work out, do just 5 push-ups. Once you start, your brain will want to keep going. 2. Detach from emotions. You don't need to feel like it, you just need to do it. Treat actions like brushing your teeth, necessary, not optional. 3. Make action a habit. Schedule your work, stick to it, and remove the option of waiting for inspiration. The biggest mistake is thinking successful people are always motivated. They aren't. They are disciplined. Action comes first. Motivation follows. So stop waiting and just begin. Your future self is built by what you do now, not by how you feel. Number 8. Look at what you've got. You're not a zero. Ever catch yourself slumped scrolling past someone's highlight reel, their big win, their shiny life, and think, I'm nothing next to that, letting lazy drape over you like a heavy fog? You're not a failure. You're just looking up too high, missing the gold right under your feet. Ambition stalls when you trash what you are, but flip the lens. You're not useless, you're loaded with wins. And that spark can shove you off the couch faster than any pep talk. This is your reset if you're ambitious but lazy. You don't need to be that guy to start. You've got enough already. Your brain's wired to chase the gap, I'm not there yet, and it's a lazy trap keeping you glued to not enough. But science flips the script. Gratitude studies, like from UC Davis, show noticing what you have spikes drive, not despair. You're not starting from scratch, you're stepping from strength, and that's the nudge to get moving. Take Leo, he's got podcast dreams but scrolls instead, eyeing pros with slick setups, muttering, "I've got no gear, no shot." He's blind to his own stash, a voice that hooks, stories that stick, and lazy wins while he whines. Then there's Mia, same dream, same doubts, but she pauses, looks down. I've got a phone, a quiet corner, a spark. She records, raw, real, hers, and posts, not perfect, but rolling. Leo's stuck, staring up. Mia's moving from what's hers, not because she's richer, but because she sees her stack. Here's the Stoic edge. No label needed. You're not empty, you're equipped. Musonius Rufus cut it clear. To live well is to act well, even in little things. You don't need more, you need to spot what's enough, and ambition ignites when you do. So quit the less than loop, list your wins, own your ground, and let that push you up. In a world of Leos gazing at the stars, the Mias who count their coins take the lead. Number 9. Reward yourself. After every step. Make progress. Addictive, laziness thrives when effort feels like punishment. Your brain resists hard work because it doesn't see an immediate benefit. But what if you could hack your brain to enjoy productivity? What if instead of associating work with exhaustion, you associated it with reward? This is where the reward system comes in, a method used by elite performers, behavioral psychologists, and even the Stoics to build unstoppable momentum. The secret? Give yourself a reason to want to keep going. The science. Why rewards make you more productive. Your brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, a concept known as dopamine reinforcement. Studies from Stanford University show that people who link small rewards to tasks are significantly more likely to stay consistent. Why? Because the brain starts associating work with pleasure instead of struggle. Think about it. Why do people get addicted to social media, video games, or junk food? Because they give small, instant rewards. The key is to use this same trick on yourself, but for productive habits. How high performers use rewards to beat laziness. Bill Gates used to keep a stack of books next to his work desk, rewarding himself with reading time after completing tasks. Kobe Bryant broke grueling training sessions into smaller blocks, telling himself, just finish this next set and you get a 30-second rest. He trained harder because he structured it with built-in rewards. Tim Ferriss uses a simple trick. For every task completed, he lets himself listen to one song, grab a snack, or take a 5-minute break. The Stoic perspective turned discipline into enjoyment. Seneca wrote, "He who enjoys the journey arrives faster." The Stoics understood that if you learn to enjoy progress, you'll stop needing motivation. You won't just do the work, you'll look forward to it. How to use rewards to beat laziness. 1. Pair effort with pleasure. Love coffee? Only drink it after writing a page. Enjoy music? Play your favorite song after completing a workout. 2. Keep rewards small but effective. A 5-minute break, a piece of dark chocolate, or a stretch session can be enough. 3. Make it predictable. Train your brain to expect a reward only after completing a task, not before. When progress feels good, consistency becomes effortless. You won't have to force yourself to work, you'll want to. And when that happens, laziness doesn't stand a chance. Work hard, reward yourself, and watch discipline turn into something you actually enjoy. Number 10. Cap your lazy time. 5 minutes, then move. Imagine your day as a tug-of-war. Ambition pulls one end, dreaming of a killer project, a fitter you, a life that pops, while lazy yanks the other, whispering, just 5 more minutes as you sink into the screen. Those 5 turn to 50, then hours, and ambition's flat on its back. Not because you're weak, but because you let time slip loose. Now flip it. Set a 5-minute cap, a quick breather, then stand up. You're not bargaining with lazy anymore. You're steering it, and that's when your dreams take the wheel. This is your edge if you're ambitious but lazy. Time's a wild horse. Rein it in and lazy's tamed. You don't need endless grit, just a leash on the clock. Your brain loves a loophole. "I'll rest a bit" sounds harmless, but it's a trap that stretches rest into rust. Science chimes in. Pomodoro studies. You know that 25-minute work, 5-minute break trick? Shows short, timed pauses boost focus, not flop. Cap the downtime and momentum kicks in, shoving lazy out the door before it squats too long. Take Jake. He's got a side hustle brewing, but 5 minutes on his phone balloons, reels sucking hours, his desk a ghost town. "I'll get to it," he mumbles, ambition choking while lazy rides free. Then there's Mia, same hustle, same itch to stall, but she sets her phone timer. 5 minutes, no more. She scrolls, sips coffee, then beep, stands, cracks open her laptop, starts. Jake's a slave to later. Mia's the boss of now, not because she's tougher, but because she holds the reins. Here's the Stoic spin, no label attached. You don't rule the world, you rule your minutes. Musonius Rufus nailed it. To live well is to act well, even in little things. 5 minutes isn't surrender, it's strategy. A leash that lets lazy breathe but not bolt. So set the timer. 5 to chill, then rise and watch ambition steer. In a world of Jakes drifting in soon, the Mias who cap the clock claim the day. Number 11. Write down the first step. Clarity destroys laziness. Laziness thrives in confusion. The more unclear a task is, the easier it is to avoid. That's why people say they want to get in shape but never start, why they plan to be more productive but end up scrolling their phone for hours. The problem isn't effort, it's lack of clarity. The brain resists vague ideas but responds well to specific, immediate actions. That's why one of the simplest ways to eliminate laziness is to write down the first step in the most basic, doable form possible. Instead of writing workout, write put on workout clothes. Instead of write an essay, write open Google Docs. Instead of eat healthier, write drink 1 glass of water now. The smaller and clearer the action, the lower the resistance. This method works because it forces your brain to focus on an action rather than an overwhelming goal. When things feel complicated, procrastination wins. But when you see a simple instruction in front of you, it's much harder to make excuses. Think of a pilot preparing for takeoff. Before flying, they go through a checklist. Check fuel, adjust instruments, confirm settings. They don't think, fly the plane, they focus on one step at a time. The same applies to life. If you wake up and say, "I need to be productive today," your brain will panic and shut down. But if you wake up and see, write 1 sentence or read 1 page written on your desk, suddenly action feels easy. The psychology behind this is simple. When your brain sees a written step, it perceives it as a commitment. Studies from the Dominican University show that people who write down their goals and specific actions are 42% more likely to complete them than those who just think about them. Writing gives clarity, and clarity leads to movement. The Stoics believed in this principle deeply. Marcus Aurelius kept a daily journal, writing out his thoughts and actions to hold himself accountable. He didn't just plan to be a better leader, he wrote clear instructions to himself. Do not be distracted. Do not waste time. Act now. Clarity removes the need for willpower. If laziness keeps winning, stop focusing on the big goal and start with the smallest, most obvious step. Write it down where you can see it. Not run 5 miles, just put on running shoes. Not read 50 pages, just open the book. Not clean the whole room, just pick up 1 item. Once you start, momentum takes over, and suddenly, what felt impossible becomes effortless. Stop giving your brain an excuse to hesitate. Write the first step, make it easy, and act. Number 12. Do it for you. Lift yourself up. Picture your ambition as a spark, a vision of a thriving gig, a sharper you, a life that sings, but it's flickering, waiting for someone to fan it into flame. You're leaning on a nudge, a boss's deadline, a friend's cheer, thinking, "I'll move when they push." And there you sit, scrolling, stalling, while lazy hums a lullaby. No one's coming to drag you out, that spark's yours, and if you don't fuel it, it fades. The fix? Stop waiting. Step up for yourself, because ambition isn't their gift, it's your grit. This cuts deep if you're ambitious but lazy. You're not a puppet. You're the player. No one's job is to kickstart your dream. Not your crew, not your coach, not the universe. Your brain's wired to coast. Someone will nudge me. But that's the lazy lie keeping you parked. Science backs the solo shove. Self-determination theory, from psych gurus like Deci and Ryan, says inner drive trumps external prods. When you own the why, you own the how. You're not waiting for a hero, you're it. And that's the jolt to get off the bench. Take Leo. He's got a music hustle brewing, but he's glued to when, waiting for a pal to say go, or a gig to force his hand. I need a push, he shrugs, guitar unstrummed, days a blur of soon. Then there's Mia. Same tune, same stall vibes, but she flips it. This is mine, I'm not begging for a shove. She strums rough, solo hers, no crowd, no cue, just her spark firing up. Leo's a bystander, Mia's the maker, not because she's louder, but because she lifts her own feet. Here's the Stoic thread, no name dropped. Your dream's not theirs, it's yours to haul. Chrysippus hit it raw. The wise man needs nothing he cannot carry. No one's hauling your load. Step up, and ambition pulls you forward. So ditch the who'll make me whine. Own it, move it, start it, now. In a world of Leos leaning on crutches, the Mias who lift themselves run the show. Number 13. Write down the first step. Clarity destroys laziness. Laziness thrives in confusion. The more unclear a task is, the easier it is to avoid. That's why people say they want to get in shape but never start. Why they plan to be more productive, but end up scrolling their phone for hours. The problem isn't effort, it's lack of clarity. The brain resists vague ideas but responds well to specific, immediate actions. That's why one of the simplest ways to eliminate laziness is to write down the first step in the most basic, doable form possible. Instead of writing workout, write put on workout clothes. Instead of write an essay, write open Google Docs. Instead of eat healthier, write drink 1 glass of water now. The smaller and clearer the action, the lower the resistance. This method works because it forces your brain to focus on an action rather than an overwhelming goal. When things feel complicated, procrastination wins. But when you see a simple instruction in front of you, it's much harder to make excuses. Think of a pilot preparing for takeoff. Before flying, they go through a checklist. Check fuel, adjust instruments, confirm settings. They don't think, fly the plane. They focus on one step at a time. The same applies to life. If you wake up and say, I need to be productive today, your brain will panic and shut down. But if you wake up and see write 1 sentence or read 1 page written on your desk, suddenly action feels easy. The psychology behind this is simple. When your brain sees a written step, it perceives it as a commitment. Studies from the Dominican University show that people who write down their goals and specific actions are 42% more likely to complete them than those who just think about them. Writing gives clarity, and clarity leads to movement. The Stoics believed in this principle deeply. Marcus Aurelius kept a daily journal, writing out his thoughts and actions to hold himself accountable. He didn't just plan to be a better leader. He wrote clear instructions to himself. Do not be distracted. Do not waste time. Act now. Clarity removes the need for willpower. If laziness keeps winning, stop focusing on the big goal and start with the smallest, most obvious step. Write it down where you can see it. Not run 5 miles, just put on running shoes. Not read 50 pages, just open the book. Not clean the whole room, just pick up 1 item. Once you start, momentum takes over, and suddenly, what felt impossible becomes effortless. Stop giving your brain an excuse to hesitate. Write the first step, make it easy, and act. Number 14. Drop the all or nothing mindset. A little is always better than nothing. One of the biggest traps that fuels laziness is the belief that if you can't do something perfectly or completely, it's not worth doing at all. You tell yourself, if I can't work out for an hour, I might as well skip it. If I don't have time to read 50 pages, I won't even bother picking up the book. If I can't give 100%, what's the point? This mindset is a lie, and it keeps people stuck for years. The truth is, small actions done consistently always beat big efforts done inconsistently. Imagine 2 people trying to get fit. John tells himself he must work out for an hour every day, but when life gets busy, he misses workouts and falls off track completely. Meanwhile, Sarah commits to just 5 minutes of movement daily, whether it's stretching, push-ups, or a short walk. Some days, she does more, but even on her worst days, she does something. A year later, Sarah is stronger, more disciplined, and more consistent, while John has made 0 progress because he kept quitting whenever he couldn't do everything perfectly. The science supports this. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains that small, repeatable actions rewire your brain for success far more than extreme bursts of effort. A study from Stanford University found that people who set micro goals were significantly more likely to sustain habits than those who aimed for perfection. The brain responds to progress, no matter how small. Even a little success builds momentum, which fuels motivation and leads to bigger achievements over time. The Stoics understood this well. Seneca wrote, "Progress is progress, no matter how small. Do not despise the seed for not being the tree." The greatest achievements in history, whether it's the Roman Empire, great works of art, or Olympic-level mastery, were all built brick by brick, action by action. If laziness is winning, lower the bar, but stay in the game. If you don't have time for a full workout, do 10 squats. If you can't write an entire chapter, write one sentence. If you don't feel like cleaning the whole house, just clear one table. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is consistency. Stop thinking in extremes, because small steps every day will always take you further than big steps that never happen. Number 15. Learn from successful people. They were once lazy too. It's easy to look at successful people and assume they were always disciplined, always motivated, and never struggled with laziness. But the truth is, every great achiever started where you are now, feeling unmotivated, procrastinating, and unsure of where to begin. The difference? They didn't stay there. They figured out how to move forward, even when they didn't feel like it. Success is built on small, consistent actions. Take Elon Musk, for example. He wasn't born with an empire. He started by sleeping in his office, working insane hours, and forcing himself to learn everything about engineering and business. He didn't wait until he felt ready to launch SpaceX or Tesla. He took action, failed, learned, and took action again. Or look at J.K. Rowling. She was broke, depressed, and jobless when she started writing Harry Potter. She had every excuse to quit, but instead, she committed to writing a little every day, even when she doubted herself. She didn't wait for inspiration, she created it through action. Even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, known for his insane work ethic, once struggled with laziness and lack of direction. He was cut from his football team and had only $7 to his name. Instead of feeling sorry for himself, he forced himself into a disciplined routine, one workout, one job application, one goal at a time. Now he wakes up at 4 a.m. daily to train, not because he's superhuman, but because he made discipline a habit. The science of learning from role models. Studies in psychology show that observational learning, watching and modeling the behavior of successful people, can rewire your brain for action. A study from Stanford University found that when people visualize themselves acting like their role models, their brains actually fire as if they were already doing the work. This means that simply studying how successful people overcame laziness can help you do the same. The Stoic perspective. Follow those who came before you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look to those who have lived well before you. Follow their example, and you will find the path." The Stoics believed that success leaves clues. You don't need to figure everything out alone. Learn from those who have already fought the battle against procrastination and won. How to apply this to your own life. 1. Pick a role model. Find someone you admire, an athlete, an entrepreneur, an artist, and study how they overcame laziness. 2. Read biographies. Books about successful people often reveal that they struggled just like you do, but they found a way forward. 3. Act as if. When you feel lazy, ask yourself, what would my role model do right now? Then do it. Successful people weren't born with unlimited motivation, they built it, and so can you. Stop assuming they had it easier. Start learning from how they fought through their struggles, then use that knowledge to fight through yours. Closing. Laziness is not your identity, and ambition is not some distant dream. It's already inside you, waiting to be set free. These 15 strategies are not about forcing yourself to become someone else or setting unrealistic goals overnight. They are about making small, practical shifts that help you break free from inaction and step into the life you were meant to build. From breaking big dreams into tiny steps, using the 2-minute rule, to living as if today were your last, you'll be surprised at how quickly laziness loses its grip when you simply start moving. The time to act is now. Pick one method from this list and start today. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be impressive. It just has to be something. Stay consistent for 30 days and watch how momentum transforms you. Not into someone flawless, but into someone unstoppable. Like this video if you're ready to take control, share it with someone stuck in the cycle of procrastination, and subscribe to Victory Stoic to continue getting real, actionable strategies for mental strength and success. Comment "I start today" and declare the method you're committing to. Ambition is a fire waiting to burn, and laziness is nothing more than the ash trying to smother it. You don't need superhuman willpower, and you don't need to wait for motivation to strike. You just need one action right now to set the fire ablaze. You are not just a dreamer, you are a doer. So take the first step and let the rest follow.